So I just have one question. How many wingers is too many wingers? So as you can remember in the last episode, we talked about where we had left to improve the squad that I feel like could help us for the rest of the season. And I said I'd like to bring in maybe like a winger or two. Well, I brought in another three. I brought in three wingers, which means, looking at the winger situation, I have a lot of wingers. I mean, that Hackett's going out on loan, so he's not an issue. But I have four wingers for that side, three of which are on loan, which I'll get into that in just a moment. And on the other side, it gets worse. It gets worse because obviously a lot of the wingers can play both sides. But if you add Curtis in there, so I've got 4 to 5 wingers. So if you split them in half, you've got possibly three wingers for two positions each side. A lot of them are on loan. I suspect by the time we get to January and possibly past January, not all of them will be here because I can't see how I'm going to possibly keep all of them happy. But I'll definitely give it a go. But let's just summarise those wingers that we have brought in since the last episode. The first one I brought in was, in fact, Alex Mighton on loan from Nottingham Forest. He has played a couple of games for us so far. 2 games, 1 goal. As you can see, obviously his stats are really good. Obviously good crossing, good dribbling, good flair, which is going to add quite a bit of creativity on the wings. And obviously he can play both wings as well. And crucially, I may have exploited this a little bit, as you'll see in most of the sides we have done since the last episode. No wage contribution and no loan fee. So that's how I was able to get him in with very little money left in the transfer budget. I was able to get him for absolutely nothing for the end of the season. I suspect, I haven't decided yet, obviously I haven't quite worked out yet. I suspect he may be one of the ones that does make it to the end of the season. Because on the games I've seen so far, he's quite impressive and he's impressed me quite a bit. Moving on to the next winger that we in fact brought in was Somerville on loan from Leeds. I mean, I don't know entirely sure how he is in the game yet, but in real life, he's absolutely doing fantastic for Leeds. I know they're not having the best season, but he is doing fantastic for them as an individual. And again, this one's very much just pure pace. I mean, as you can see, look at his pace and acceleration and agility. Just runs very, very fast, very, very quick. I mean, you are going to look at things like composure and decisions, which means we suffer a little bit. But if those are the things I'm willing to take and the risk I'm willing to take, when realistically the aim of the season is just to stay in the division. Again, he's another one that has required no contribution. So I thought I'd try my luck, see if I get a few of them in. I spoke to a few of them, and a few of them turned me down. I wasn't expecting to get this many in. And on to the last winger we did get in for absolutely nothing. This one, again, is a little bit... realistically, what I've ended up with on the wings is just pure pace. This guy's a bit better at the cross of the ball. Not quite as fast as Somerville, but a bit faster than Mighton. But again, with things like off the ball, decisions and stuff like that, is a bit iffy. But obviously, this guy has good flair, good work rate, so he's going to work hard. His strength just confused me a little bit with being 6'2". I mean, obviously, I thought it'd be a little bit stronger than that. But nevertheless, here's another bringer we brought in. As you can see with the clip we showed before on the squad planner, one of the positions we were looking to improve is wingers, and it's safe to say we definitely don't have that issue anymore. Another position where I said I'd maybe like to bring another body in just for competition for Scarlett was up front, and at the second time of asking, I did try and get him early on in the transfer window. Aston Villa accepted then, but then he turned us down. But this time around, I thought, I'm just going to try. He was still up for loan. Tried again, accepted again, but this time he was willing to come in. He's played a couple of games for us. He's not super impressed me so far. But it's early on in the season. Again, great pace, good determination, good work rate. His positioning is semi-decent for this division, but again, 0 contribution, so it was silly not to. So just to clarify in terms of those positions that we have now improved, if you're looking up front, obviously we've got Dane Scarlett And obviously we now got Cameron Archer. With the likes of those wingers can play there. I am very, very aware, and it's kind of just followed on from last season. I am very aware of the amount of loan players I have in my squad. But given the fact that I had a lot of players to replace and very little budget to do it, I didn't really have much of a choice. I managed to bring in a couple of free transfers and obviously quite a few wingers. And if I think correctly, I don't actually, but I've managed to bring in 13 new players without spending a single penny on any fees or any loan fees. It's all just really gone on agents' fees and players' fees and stuff like that. But in a moment, guys, we are going to go ahead and get through deadline day, which is just in a day's time, or possibly even today. I'm not really expecting much action in deadline day. Like I said, I've brought in 13 new players. I don't really need to strengthen anywhere else. But I always do like to do deadline day, especially as an episode, because you never know. You never know what kind of deal we tend to bring in. And I can never really predict whether I'm going to have all the signings I need before deadline day. So one of these days, I will give you all an exciting deadline day. One where I'm going to have to go in. I'm going to have a little bit of money to spend and see if I can wheel and deal and get some good players in. Unfortunately, I don't think this deadline day is going to be one of those. But we'll still go through it, and I'll come back for any highlights that appear and any deals that I think may appear, but I'm not. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not expecting much from this. But there is just one thing, guys, just as before we do go into that. If you'd like to like the episode and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this series and more of the episodes to see where this Portsmouth team go and how the squad develops, and any likes and any comments down below of how you feel I'm doing in series and stuff like that is going to be greatly appreciated. It helps out the channel, it helps me out, and I'm, like I said before, and I greatly appreciate it. Here we are, guys. Deadline day is here, as you can see, with a nice yellow screen. Looking at the top, yeah, I've got a little bit of transfer budget remaining, but absolutely zero wage budget remaining. So we'll have to see if anybody comes in for one of our players. Maybe I could let him go and then replace him with hopefully a better player. But like I said, I'll be back if there is any highlights along the way. So as I suspected, guys, we are now at the end of the transfer deadline day. Absolutely nothing happened. I did have a couple of look at maybe a few cheeky more loan deals, but it just gets beyond the unrealistic and a bit silly when I'm just bringing in too many loans, most of which aren't going to play because you can only play 11 players. But that sums up the transfer window until January at least. I mean, looking at the wages, for example, we are by far the smallest team in the division on wages. So that's the kind of thing we are competing against. So when I bring in loan signings for free, this is the sort of thing I have to try and fight with just to have a fighting chance to stay in the division. So just to quickly summarize, guys, this is the transfer activity we've had in this transfer window. I think I've brought in multiple players for pretty much every single position, with the likes of Matty Longstaff in midfield, Lewis Gibson in defence, brand new goalkeeper, Kane and Brian in defence, an attacking midfielder, and an excessive amount of wingers to go with the ones that we already had in there. Majority of which, a lot of these will start week in, week out for us, give or take the wingers. But overall, I think we've had a really, really impactful transfer window. I think the squad is looking really, really strong and healthy for this division. I think we've got squad depth, which is good to try and stay in this division. I know the ambition is to attempt to avoid relegation, so the expectation is not to necessarily avoid relegation, but I'm not really planning on getting relegated. Not if I have something to say about it. So I think we've got a decent squad there to make sure as best possible that doesn't happen. And in terms of out, we didn't really lose anyone important. Maybe looking at Joe Morrell, and we had Michael Morrison who went at the end of last season. But overall, I think I'm happy with the state of the squad. And probably going into the season, this is the sort of team we're going to be looking at, not necessarily like this, Gilvey and Pull when I've got my two new fullbacks. When your likes of Mighton and Corbina, Somerville to obviously come on. You got Greg Doherty still, who we brought in last season in the midfield with Longstaff. Vidra's still in there. We've got him for one more season. Curtis, who is still here. Scarlett, Archer, Bishop. Goalkeeping department is possibly a little bit weak with the backup not very good. Decent amount of centre-backs with our new centre-back, Gibson, in there alongside Raggett. So overall, like I just said, I'm really, really pleased with the squad. And surprisingly, I wasn't expecting this to be the case. I've just gone over to the pre-season expectation of the squad. Obviously, if you remember, we were band smack pretty much dead on to get relegated. Similar, like we were 200 to 1 to get relegated. But obviously, the game is impressed with the signings we've made, because not only are we no longer obviously favourites to get relegated, if the season was to end, in the way that this suggests, we wouldn't even be in the relegation zone. Now we're only at 50 to 1. So I think that just kind of backs up the signings I've made and how I feel like there could be good signings throughout the season. And speaking of the season so far, obviously we have only played 3 games in the league. We're only 3 games in. It's nothing to write home about. However, 2 wins and a draw. I mean, you can't really expect a much better start than that. We've had a fantastic start to the season. We've had 2 wins and a draw. An almost perfect start to the season. 5th in the league. I know it's only 3 games in. But, I mean, could you ask so much more for a team that's tempted to avoid relegation? You know, get the points on the board, try and get ahead of the game, and hopefully, even if we can avoid to stay away from the relegation zone, I'll be even happier. We did play Shrewsbury in the Cup. It was a bit of a boring game. We were going to show that game, but I decided Shrewsbury is not exactly... The second round of the Cup was not exactly an exciting game. We did, in fact, win that game and then draw Nottingham Forest in the next round. But let's get into the next game of the season away at Coventry. Like I said, compared to last season, this is a little bit of a change starting 11. But let's just get on with it and see what the starting lineup today. But obviously, Gilvey's still in the team, playing on left back. Saints, Keane Bryan is injured again. That is going to be a concern this season. One of our new signings, Gibson, Raggett in the middle, Kane on the right, Lumley in goal. Pack still starting for us in the middle alongside Longstaff. Vidra in front of him, again, since another one of our loan signings is injured. Alex Mighton on the left, Cobiano on the right. Again, that could possibly change here and there as the season goes on, because I still haven't decided who I feel like my best wingers are yet. And obviously, who's already got 4 goals this season, Scarlett up front. So let's kick off the season, and hopefully, I mean, Coventry have been in this division a couple of seasons now, so this is definitely going to be a good game to compare to see where we're going to get on with in the season. I think Coventry are one of the favourites to get relegated. So realistically, I know we're from home, so I'll be happy with a draw, considering obviously we're also in that relegation fight. Theoretically, we are anyway. So this is going to be a good indicator of how we're going to do against our rivals. Nice positive early start. Highlight here, which is kind of sort of carried on. Well, it had carried on with us attacking, but we've lost the ball straight back to the goalkeeper. He's Scarlett now. Can he do anything with it? A bit of an ambitious striker there, but better than not shooting at all, is it not? So here we are, another highlight now. They are on the attack. Hopefully nothing really comes of it. Hopefully we can deal with it. Again, defensively last season was a bit of a shaky point for ourselves. See what's going to happen here. It was a bit of a shaky point for ourselves, even when we did bring in a few new defenders. I think in January, nothing really changed. We were a bit poor defensively, and it nearly did cost us right at the end of the season. Hopefully, with the signings and additions I've made, hopefully that is not necessarily going to be as big of a problem this year. We're about halfway through the first half. We've had 6 shots, only 1 on target though, so we realistically do need to improve on that. But altogether, a positive start away from home. Done nothing silly, created a few chances. Hopefully we can just take 1 or 2 of those and have ourselves an almost perfect start to the season. The Coventry are on the attack. Hopefully we can deal with it. Push the other side. Oh, and he's ringing it. Are we going to deal with it? Are we going to mess that up? No. Can we do a counter attack? Can we do something with it? Scarlett's looking a little bit lost up there on his own. That's something is to consider, especially with having Archer in the squad. They've made a mistake. Can Mighton take it? No, he can't. Mighton really should have done better there, taking advantage of that. Well, there we are, guys. It is half-time. We are 0-0 away at Coventry. Realistically, the first 45 minutes, we've absolutely dominated. 11 shots, 5 on target. Majority of the possession. We realistically should be going into the second half with a goal to show for it, but nevertheless, point away from home, even at half-time, especially for this season's targets, is never, ever going to be a bad thing for ourselves. So let's start the second half. Hopefully we can get on the front foot, actually finally take one of these chances. So I'd love to tell you that it's been an exciting second half, but it really hasn't. There's a sense of deja vu as well, because he have in fact gone to 2 up top. Because every time the ball went up to Scarlett, nothing a lot was happening. It felt like he was a bit lost up there. So I've gone to 2 up top, bringing in Archer for Vidra, and I've also brought in Somerville on that right hand side. Hopefully freshen up on the wing, and maybe something can happen. That was close from Coventry there. They've ironically, that was probably the closest chance of the game. Here they are over corner now. Hopefully we can deal with it nicely. We realistically need to be clearing it better than that. Oh, may have got away with one there. We'll do a few more substitutions. It's not like I don't have the wingers to do it. We have just brought on Ducati in the box-to-box midfielder and Curtis on the left-hand side. So there is some wingers in this squad that aren't on loan. Here's Somerville now with Pat. Can he do some of it? Can Somerville put it in? No, I mean, it's a good chance, and maybe he could have squared it a bit, but Archer's up there. Can he do some? I mean, Somerville has to make, this probably sums it up with his decision making, but he has to make a better decision there, and we maybe could have got something from that. Here's Pack again, doing a lot there. Can Scarlett, and he hits the crossbar, well, the post right at the end of the second half. Here's Archer in the final counter attack, and what? That was an almost perfect moment for him to snatch the win for us at the end, and he's absolutely balled it there. So there we are, guys. That is the end of the game. 0-0. I mean, 21 shots, 7 on target. As much as I've said pretty much most of the game, you've got to be happy with a point considering the season's expectations. I can't help but be severely disappointed by today's result. I think that game was there for the taking. We've absolutely dominated the entire game. We've dominated the shots. We've dominated the chances. And we just simply couldn't put one of them away. And it's been more of a frustrating game than anything. Rather annoying, but nevertheless, we didn't lose. That's another point on the board, and hopefully another point away from not getting relegated. So in regards to the league table, I know we're only 4 games in. It does leave us in 7th place, 6 points clear of relegation. So I'm quite happy with that. We'll keep that 6-point gap all season. So we've won 2, drawn 2, unbeaten so far. You know, think positive. And we are only a couple of games from the top of the league. You know, we're thinking up, not down. Nevertheless, I can't complain for that start. Solid start, much better than what the bookies and probably the expectation was for ourselves. Hopefully my signings had something to do with that. We really could do with improving in front of goal. But nevertheless, nice solid start to the season. So to sum up the episode, guys, we've just gone through deadline day where nothing really happened. All the signings were done before then. We've brought in 3 new wingers, giving us about 30 million wingers in the squad for the season. Hopefully, I'd like to think I've made some really good signings this season with new strikers, well, pretty much players in every single position. This squad, personally, I think is much, much stronger than it was last season, and it definitely needed to be with the amount of players in and out. Well, that is us till January now. We're stuck with the lot, whether we like it or not. Positive start, 2 wins, 2 draws. And feel free to let me know down in the comments down below how you feel I did the transfer, how you feel I did in the transfer window. Do you think you could have maybe done some better signings? Have I gone a bit heavy with the free transfers? I mean, I think I've done shrewd business considering I haven't realistically spent a penny and I had to replace a decent amount of the squad. And this team's definitely looking much better than just relegation fodder. But yeah, feel free to comment down below. Let me know how you're thinking of the series, how you think of this team so far, and how you think we're going to do to the rest of the season. In terms of when I'm going to come back, guys, I'm going to come back at the end of October. Again, the game's against Middlesbrough, who in fact is the team I support. That's probably why I want to come back for that one. Hopefully we do win it. You know, I'm here for Portsmouth, not for Middlesbrough. But it'll be bittersweet if we do. And then the home game against Millwall as well. That'll be like the 14th and 15th game of the season. So I think by that point, we're going to have a good indication of what kind of season we're going to have. Whether we are going to be a team that's going to be maybe top half to the middle, which I'll take. I'll take middle all every day of the week this season. It's just about building, obviously getting ourselves established in this division first. Alternatively, after 14 games, you could find ourselves right down by the bottom, and then we know we're in for a real fight in relegation this season. I hope you enjoyed the episode, guys. I hope you're impressed with the squad I have assembled for the season. Feel free to let me know. And guys, I'll see you at the end of October.